Welcome to 0 to 60.
I'm Matt McChesney. I'm the owner and operator of 6-0 Football Academy and 6-0 Equipment. Played at the University of Colorado from 2004. 6 years in the National Football League on both sides of football.
I'm Matt McChesney. This is 0 to 60. That is Coach Prime. We are at the University of Colorado. Brother, thank you so much.
All right. 0 to 60. We're rolling. All right, happy Tuesday. Welcome to 0 to 60. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. Bailey's on the ones and the twos as usual, killing it as usual. One of my quarterbacks, best friend, brother from another mother, Bobby Pesavento, is on the show today. Championship quarterback for 2001 Colorado Buffaloes. I know that's a long time ago, but damn it, we still look good. And I bet you we could still play a half, probably. I bet you Bobby could still play a game. He looks pretty good. We got a lot to talk about here today on Tuesday. We have a ton of shit going on in the future of this show, man. It is about to really, really explode, and I am super excited about all of it. We will get you all of that updated information as we go. But this is a big week, this week and next week leading up to camp. We're doing the all-time Colorado team. And yesterday, we put out a nice little list that got a lot of back and forth and, got some people's feelings and whatnot. And it was awesome. Vickers was on the show as usual on Monday. Did a great job. We're going to go over that with Bobby today and then talk about the tight ends, the wide receivers, and the offensive line on your all-time Colorado team. And there's no number restriction here. So really, we can talk about whomever we want. We can add guys. We can take guys off. Well, we haven't done that yet, but we damn sure have added some. And we have, this is just going to be another show on Tuesday. So Bailey, let's fucking roll.
Let's roll, Matt. Happy Tuesday. We're in the building, and before we bring in our special guest, can't wait to have him on. Matt, how you doing on this fine Tuesday?
Bro, I'm great. Tomorrow we're going to do a little bit of a high school spotlight. Mm-hmm. My man Liam Chang got Syracuse last night, bro. And Liam has been through so much in this room. Like he really struggled and fell out for about 7 months, and I stayed on his ass like, bro, come back to work. And he finally did, and he's really immersed himself in it. And having Coach Mike Sanford at Valor, even though I coach at Vista and we're heated rivals, that guy's one of my best friends, bro. And I work with 10 times more kids from Valor than I do from Vista, which is crazy to me. I don't understand it at all. But it is what it is. It's just a dichotomy of what it is. And having him there and his eagerness to, instead of telling kids they shouldn't work more, he's like, no, you should work more. You should do more. You need to be in there all the time. And he'll help you achieve your goals. And some of these kids just need to hear that. And Liam was one of them, and he's totally immersed himself. And I call him the Great Wall of Chang. He's a fucking monster. He's a Chinese Irishman, bro. Liam Chang. Fucking monster, dude. So he's going to be a junior. He's starting for him at right guard right now. Think about this. Their offensive line, okay? Left tackle, SC commit. Left guard, Davis Moon, Syracuse offer only. It was a freshman last year, newcomer of the year. The center is Peyton Edwards. He's got 7-8 commits or 7-8 offers. That's Mississippi P. Everybody knows Mississippi P. He's one of my guys. Mississippi P! He's from Mississippi. The right guard is Liam Chang, the Great Wall of Chang, and the right tackle is fucking Reese Russell. So I'm just saying, everybody out there in defensive line land, you better get your shit together because Valor ain't fucking around this year. And I wish, the people over at Valor were so tight-assed, and maybe things would be different.
Definitely, and definitely expect them to run the ball with Coach Sanford. So
boy,
yeah. Can't wait to see it, Matt. But without further ado, we got a lot planned, a lot to talk about on this great show on this fine Tuesday. And without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest, our main man, former Colorado quarterback Bobby Pesavento joins the show. Happy Tuesday, Bobby. Thank you for joining. How you doing?
What's up, fellas? Good to see you guys.
You handsome son of a bitch. How's life?
Life's good, man. No complaints.
I know you're excited about this upcoming season, bro. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I think the Bucks got a chance to be a pretty good team. I don't know how many people are saying this, but I think they got a chance to be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
We've actually been talking about that a lot on the show, that maybe they lost great players, but the team got better. That's rare that happens, but it is something that happens. Look, everybody knows Bobby Pesavento, 2001 champion for Colorado Buffaloes. Last time we won a conference championship up there back in the Big 12. I was looking at this graphic the other day, BP, and it was all-time championship game appearances. And we left the conference for like 20 years, and we're second.
Yeah.
Now, there's also another graphic where the only two national titles are 1990 and 1984 with BYU and CU. Is the Big 12 really what we think it is, bro? Or are the Big 12 and the ACC really, really that far behind of the SEC and the Big 10? I know they are, but shit, bro, that graphic really shined a light.
Yeah, I think they're very second-tier conferences behind the SEC and the Big 10. I can't look at or find a school, I don't think, in the Big 12 or the ACC that could walk into the SEC or the Big 10 and compete at a high level, in my opinion. I think they'd all have a really hard time.
Yeah, me too. We'll see where this goes, but I think that you'll probably have one more conference eat shit, and maybe they combine into three. I don't know. We'll see. Bob, I know you saw what we're doing in here. We're doing the all-time Colorado team, and I couldn't move forward without getting your opinion on a bunch of this, especially recapping yesterday with the quarterback and skill positions, and then we got tight ends, wide receivers, and offensive line, and we played with a bunch of these guys, and you threw to a bunch of these guys. Tell me about what you think about the quarterbacks there. We also had honorable mentions of Sal Lessie, Coy Detmer got a lot of run, guys like that. The running backs, obviously there's so many great backs. I don't know how you just go with four, but we did. And then the fullbacks, it was pretty much everybody was just like Brandon Drum, and that's the list.
Yeah, looking at this, man, I would say, gosh, I think Higgs and Cordell have to be at the top of the quarterback list. I don't think Shador deserves it. I'm not a stat guy. I'm a winning guy. I don't care what numbers you put up. We've had a lot of guys play here that put up numbers, but they didn't win a damn thing. They didn't win any big games. They didn't do anything. So I like Joel up there. Joel was a hell of a player. I mean, he deserves it. But, Sal's got to be up there. He's got to be in the conversation. Coy's got to be in the conversation.
100%. Somebody we didn't talk about too is
Hessler's got to be in the conversation.
Yes, we brought up Johnny Boy yesterday, and then a guy that I didn't bring up was Mike Machete.
Yeah.
I know that Mike played his ass off, bro. Mike was another guy who donned four. You know what I'm saying? So the quarterback position, that's a tough one, bro. And as a guy who played at a really high level up there in Boulder at that position, where would you go? Is DH first in yours? Is Cordell first in yours? It seems like Sal's even higher than Shador on your list.
I think Higgs has got to be number one just because of what he accomplished and what he did for the program, right?
Right.
If you look at probably just the flat-out best quarterback we've had, it's probably Cordell. But I think I'd still put Higgs at 1 and Cordell at 2. It's tough. Once you get beyond that, I think it gets real gray between, Sal and Coy and Joel in the mix. And, obviously Shador's in the mix. But, again, like I go back to who won games, who won big games and big situations, right? It's easy to put up numbers and go, 10 and 13. Who gives a shit, right? I don't care, right? I mean, go win a championship. Go win a game that's meaningful, right? Go into hostile environments and win. Like I don't, my amount of appearances were limited, right? I'm never going to be a guy that says I should be on that list. I don't care if I'm on that list because there's one Big 12 championship, and guess who was the quarterback? I don't need anything more than that, right? Guy. There was one ass whooping against Nebraska, and guess who was the quarterback, right? I don't need any more than that. So, Yeah, man, I go Hags, Cordell, and then you just get in a gray area of
There's so many guys. There's like 10 different cats that are all ballers. And there's only, that's the beauty of this list, bro, is it's like 90 fucking players deep at some point, because you can't, even if you're not like written in, the conversation is the most important part of this. It's educating the past. Like, for example, yesterday when we had Vic on, bro, I sent him the list, and I was like, my list is super deep, and there's like 30 guys on it. We're like, how are we going to do this? Who are we going to put where? And Vickers was like, fuck, I had to go Google half the guys on the list, and that's Lawrence Vickers. So, like, the fact that we're talking about all these old school guys is really the key here for me, because I would love to bridge the prime sexuals and the like real Buffalo fans together. Like, that would be some sexy shit if we could just all come together. All right, so let's move forward here. The running backs. This was impossible. It was fucking impossible. Where's Herschel Troutman? Where's Lamont Warren? Like, Marquisha Houston doesn't make that list. Fuck that guy. But, like, Chris Brown, Purified, Cortland Johnson. Like, Cortland Johnson's one of the best to ever do it. So, obviously, you were the quarterback on that famous day in November against Nebraska, but then also the Big 12 title game, watching Chris dominate there. The 0-2 player of the year in the Big 12 the next year offensively. Purifies the third leading rusher in history. EB is EB. Rashawn won a Heisman. I mean, run with that.
Yeah. Again, man, it's ironic though, but I think you got two guys at the top. You got EB and you got Rashawn. And it's, if you want to argue about who's number one, gosh, I mean, maybe Rashawn because he won a Heisman. And he was a stud in college. I mean, that dude was different. Not that EB wasn't. I'm not taking anything away from EB, but I think you got 1 and 2, and then you go back into the, what era you grew up in, who you liked watching play, who you thought was better. I mean, I think, again, with probably not as much reps and carries as other guys, I think Chris is 3. I don't think I've ever seen a guy like Chris play football and run the football. Especially in the moments that he did it in, right? That's what resonates with me, right? When did you do it, and how did you do it?
And we brought up this yesterday when bringing back to Cortland Johnson, Chris Brown. A lot of people don't know this because it's hard to gauge this as a fan. But the week before, 2 weeks before, when we went to Ames, you had I remember you had a fucking hell of a game, right? That was a night game.
Yeah.
Right, and it was like, we win this game in Ames, and Ames is a house of horrors for people that don't take it seriously. We set up a game against Nebraska for all the fucking marbles, right? And Cortland Johnson, if I remember correctly, went 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving and balled the fuck out.
He did.
Cortland was supposed to have that day on the Saturday against Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
And he got hurt, and then Chris dropped in, and 6 fucking touchdowns later, it's the fucking story of Chris Brown. So explain that a little bit, being in an offensive meeting room with all those fucking running backs and how they split up carries.
Yeah, well, Cortland was a special dude, man. I mean, he was a hell of a football player. He would, one of those guys that would do anything you asked him to do. He was great catching the ball out of the backfield, and he was so, he wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but he would in between the tackles, man, that dude was slippery. He found a way to get through there. So if you look at the depth chart going into that Nebraska game, it was CJ, then Purify, then Marcus. Chris Brown was number 4 on the depth chart going into that game. Yeah. And Bobby had a hell of a first half, right, against Nebraska. And CJ and Cortland got banged up. And, if I remember correctly, I think Marcus came in and got carries before Chris did. And didn't really go very well. But then when Chris got in the game, man, he just took that thing over. So we were very fortunate to have that group of guys. But they were all very different, right? And there's running styles and how they were successful. But dude, I mean, Chris was just a monster. I mean, just such a big dude and fast and physical. I think if any other guy has the day he has against Nebraska, right, they're in the conversation too, just because it was such a day and he had such a big part of it. So, I mean, in my opinion, maybe selfishly, because we played with them and and he's my guy. I think he should be 3. And then, Phil was a hell of a player. Bobby there's so many, again, like you said, there's so many guys once you get past,
dudes, bro.
Yeah. Once you get past like the top 2, in my opinion, it's kind of just a wash on, that's where you can argue about a lot of things, who you think should be ranked ahead of the other ones. But, it's hard for me to go against Chris Brown for that 3rd spot.
It's hard to tackle Chris Brown. That's some bitch. So fullbacks. Well, this won't take a lot of time. The list is short but distinguished, in my opinion. And I know we missed a lot of guys who are just face mashers. I get it. But my list is simple. LV first, George Hemingway, Brandon Drum, in no particular order. The Alaskan Assassin could easily be first. Vickers was more of a V-back and could play both tailback and fullback. Very kind of an enigma. And George Hemingway is like the original OG fucking Colorado fullback that would just murder you at the point of attack. So talk about those 3, and then we'll get into the rest of these guys and get you out of here.
Yeah, three great players, man, in Buffs history. Vickers was different, dude. That guy was big and physical and could run the ball, could catch it out of the backfield. So I'd probably put him 1, maybe like 1A and Drummer 1B. Because Drum was a different dude, man. That guy, he would just run through a wall for you and not ask questions.
Well, you keep hearing up, Bailey.
And just keep back up and just keep running. He's a special guy. So, again, that could be 1, A, B, and C with those 3 dudes right there. But, I can only speak. Drum was the only one I really ever played with. And, again, just – when guys are really good at a high level, Matt, you know this, they're just freaking different guys.
They're different.
They're wired differently. They conduct themselves differently. They do everything differently. And that was Brandon Drum.
Yeah, I got to play with Drum and Vic and got to watch George, and it was just playing with those guys. It's different. It makes the running backs act different. It gets your offensive line acting different when you have a true hammer just isolating the middle linebacker over and over and over and over and over again. All right, so fun part of this, the new shit, all right, as we get into the minutia of the offense. We're going to start with tight ends. Then we're going to go to wide receivers, and there's like 15 of them on the list, so God help me. And then we're going to go 2 deep on the offensive line, 5 and 5. So let's roll. Tight ends up first, Bailey.
Matt, I'm just going to run through your list because a lot of these lists are going to get pretty extensive, especially as we get to the wide receiver position. Because Matt, as you know, and Bobby, as you know, you could put 20 of them on there. But Matt, at the tight end position, you got both the honorable mention. You got Sean Embry, and then at 4, you got John Embry. Kind of talk about your honorable mention of 4 real quick. Go ahead.
The Embry Bros, and look, let's just not even do the numbers anymore. Let's just talk about the players.
Okay. Absolutely.
The Embry Bros. John was obviously older and part of that 86 team that kind of turned the tide with Lance Carl up there and Sal Lessie. And then, Sean played a little bit afterwards, a little bit bigger, but a great blocker at the point of attack. And I don't know how you don't have the Embry brothers on the list.
No doubt. Bobby, how you feel about the Embry brothers on Matt's list here? Go ahead.
I love them both. I think they deserve to be on it. They both deserve to be talked about. So it's a good call for sure.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with you. Let's go ahead and move down. Christian Furia. Matt, go ahead and talk about that. Him, I think, a hell of a player in Colorado.
Just the next 3 guys, in my opinion, Christian, Klopp, and then obviously the fucking man, DG. Mm-hmm. They all could do one thing on top of catch the ball, and that's block the shit out of you. And I've never seen anybody block like Dan Graham at the point of attack at tight end. But Christian and Klopp were a close number 1, number 2, and number 3. And, Christian Furia played a long time in the NFL. Him and Dan actually played together in New England and won a Super Bowl, which is pretty cool. Matt Lepsis is another guy who played tight end and then moved to tackle in the NFL, another great player. So, I think it starts and stops with Dan, but Klopp was a hell of a player. Quinn Simnewski was a hell of a player, marred by injury, but a guy, when he was healthy, was a hell of a player and had a good NFL career. So, Bob, obviously, him and Dan had a fucking connection like few quarterbacks and receivers have had. So I'll let Bobby kind of elaborate on that part.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously Christian was a great player. Fourier was a stud. Klopp was a stud in his own right. They both were. But I mean, I don't know how anybody in their right mind could argue that Dan's not number one. I mean, that dude, like you said, Ches, they were so. Dan was so well rounded, man. I mean, he was like a tackle, an extra tackle in the run game, and he was like a wide receiver in the passing game at his size, which is just, that equals freak of nature. And that's exactly what Dan was. He could get open against linebackers. He could physically beat up corners. He could outrun almost anybody when the ball was in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Just the ultimate football dude, right? Like he was a great route runner. He caught everything. But you could always rely on him, right? When we were running the ball well, right? He was never going to be the guy that bitched and moaned like, "Oh, why aren't we throwing it?" No, he was just going to get mean and nasty and kick somebody's ass across the line of scrimmage and help us move the ball. I mean, if you look down the list of guys that have played at the University of Colorado, the history of Colorado, I think Dan's got to be in that conversation at the top of the list.
I mean, Dan might be on the fucking Mount Rushmore, homie.
I think he deserves it, man. I mean,
Like, he's so good. And look, I had the honor of playing with him in the NFL too with the Broncos, and it didn't, like, nothing changed. Whether you're at 9-on-7 in Boulder in 2001 or you're 9-on-7 with the Broncos in 2009, somebody's getting fucked up. Somebody's getting mashed. And that's like, Dan Graham really hung his hat on that. And it's one thing, like, the complete tight end. I think Gronkowski's the best tight end that's ever walked because he's complete.
Facts.
Like, I thought Shannon Sharp was a great receiving tight end, but I was always partial to Ben Coates when I was growing up because he could block your ass into the ground too. So, yeah, man, that's a tough list to break, and it'll never be topped by 89. That is Mount Rushmore. Dan Graham, we salute you. All right, let's move on to the worst and best situation we got here with the receivers. Holy shit, bro. I'm just going to start reading names, homie.
Yeah, I was going to say, Matt, why don't we just run down the list real quick, or we can go by threes here, Matt. Kind of the bottom three names here, kind of all from different eras in Colorado football here. You got Laviska Shenault, Ray Caruth, and Charles Johnson. Matt, go ahead and talk about your bottom three here on your list. Go ahead.
I mean, Laviska's a Pac-12 guy, but a great player in Colorado history. One of the iconic plays against Nebraska to beat him in Lincoln. I don't know how you keep him off the list. Mm-hmm. I had to put Ray Caruth on. I know that from a moral standpoint, people might have a problem with this, but go watch any game from like 94, 95, 96, and 21 is murdering. I mean, just crushing everyone. That was fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. My bad. But he's literally out there crushing everybody. Like, he was a hell of a player. Charles Johnson, God rest his soul, great player. On the other side of Michael Westbrook, on that turf, I mean, dude, holy shit, could those guys run. And then after that, you've got some guys that we both played with, and DJ Hackett, Derek McCoy, guys like that. I got Darren Shiverini on this list. I thought Shiv was a hell of a player at CU. Nelson Spruce, who stud. In an era where we couldn't win a damn game consistently, 22 was out there getting 10, 12 catches a week. And then the top three, in my opinion, you got Lance Carl, Scotty McKnight, guys like that at the bottom of the list as well. Michael Westbrook, Trent Hunter, Mike Pritchard. I mean, I don't see how you can go wrong with guys like that. You know what I'm saying? So, who did I miss, BP? Like, I feel like there's so many good players at this position in Colorado history. In no particular order, I think 81 is probably at the top of the list if you were ranking them. But people forget how versatile Mike Pritchard was. And, I mean, Mike Pritchard had a couple of games where he rushed for like 150 yards. So, run with that, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I like the list for sure. I think Westbrook's at the top. Pritch was great. He deserves to be up there. Obviously, Travis deserves to be up there. Dude was just different.
Incredible.
One guy the name that jumps out that's not on the list. I mean, JB Bloomer's not on there.
I got Bloom as our returner, so we can sneak
okay.
it.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, LC Lance was a great player. It's hard, but I think again, I agree with what you said morally, but Ray was a ball player, man. When he was when he was playing.
I want to apologize for saying what I said. I didn't mean to do that.
No, but he was a hell of a player, and again, like you said, like Hackett was a great player. Derek McCoy was a great player, but when you just look at the overall landscape of things, right, Westbrook's got to be at the top of the list because I mean he was just.
And it's almost like, think about it like packaging the groups together. Like you had Westbrook, Charles Johnson, and Christian Fourier. That was a skill position group with, by the way, Cordell and fucking Rashawn Salam. Right. Holy shit. Then you package like our years together where in 01 we had, the dropping dimes to Dan and Derek McCoy and Matt Brunson and fucking Roman Holloway. I got Rome here on as one of our returners as well. Rome was huge in the passing game. So Klatt in 03, 04, and 05, 03 really when he had Hackett and McCoy and Pinky Donahue and the guys like that. So there's always Joe Kloppenstein and Klatt and Quincy Newski. So it's almost like the position groups and the groups of guys need to be brought into this as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing to mention about McCoy, right? When you look at, I think Derek deserves a lot of praise, right? Because if you go back to 01, right, he wasn't really in the mix until Minardi blew his knee out.
Yeah.
Right. And Derek
John Minardi is another guy we don't talk about enough. He was a fucking stud.
Great player. But Derek was young and was kind of thrown into the mix, not probably unexpectedly because of injuries, right? And he played his ass off as a young guy during that 01 season.
Big plays, bro. I mean, big plays against Nebraska, big plays against Texas in the Big 12 title game, huge plays the next year in 02. And in 03, when he was a senior, him and Hackett arguably were the best two receivers in the damn country as a duo. So
I mean, I can sit here and tell you I underthrew a go route to McCoy against Texas in the Big 12 championship game, and he went up over the top of Quentin Jammer and just took it right off the top of his helmet.
Just straight out jumped his ass. I mean, when you got three legs, you can jump that high.
But Shiv,
I love you, D.
Shiv deserves to be up there too. Shiv was a hell of a player in college. Great player in college.
Right, think about guys like Phil Savoy. Phil Savoy was a great possession receiver up there for the bus for a lot of years. So, again, this list is hard. I know we're going to miss some guys. Please inform us on those we missed.
So going back in the day, Chaz, what position was Bobby Anderson labeled?
I think we're starting from 86 on. So
okay, my bad.
I think Bobby was like a flanker.
Okay. All right. I didn't know what the years when we started. All right.
But if it says flanker next to your name, we're gonna have to do a different team. All right, now the big uglies. The group that I went against a ton in college. I didn't play offensive line at CU. I played defensive line. So this is I got some personal knowledge on this one, and I may miss a couple of guys here because there's only 10 of them. We could put about 30 of them up here. But my starters are Victor Rogers, Andre Gerard, Jay Lewingberg, Chris Naoli, and Nate Solter.
I have zero.
My backup 5 are Wilder Columbus, David Bakhtiari, Jordan Seaton, and Derek West. I know I missed guys. Bates isn't on that list. Probably should be. He played a ton of football. There's guys on there that we missed. So I will say this, though. I think that the tight side in 01 of Dre, Vic, and Dan was, in my opinion, the best tight side in CU history. If Vic didn't have the injury problems he had, I think he's a first, second, or third round draft pick. So I don't know. Run with that. You played behind these guys, bro. I had to play against Dre and Vic every day, and it made me such a better player, dude. I mean, having to go against them every day made Saturday like a cakewalk.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with you with that statement that those three on the tight side were the best to do it. I mean, we've talked about Dan, but Dre and Vic, those two guys walking out of the huddle, lining up next to each other every snap. I mean, they were nasty, dude.
Dan. You get Dan.
Yeah.
Fuck. If you're a 3 technique and a 7 technique or a 1 technique and a 5, holy shit, bro. One of you's getting double teamed and you're losing.
Yeah.
Period.
But there were so many good players, right? I mean, even in very limited time too, because he transferred in. Wayne Lucier played his ass off.
Wayne was a great player. Yep, really the glue of that line, bro.
Yeah, and the huge thing is when Wayne transferred in, that allowed us to move Dre to guard.
I was just getting ready to say that, dude, because he played center his whole junior campaign. He was the center. We couldn't find a guy to play guard next to him.
Yeah, exactly. But Marwan became a hell of a player. Bates was a very good player. You mentioned soldiers. Who was the other really big kid? Ryan Miller?
Ryan Miller. Yeah, went to Columbine. Yeah. I actually worked with Ryan Miller for a lot of years. He was a really good football player too. Yeah. He was part of that group that transitioned us into the Pac-12.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I like Jordan Seaton. I think he's a hell of a player. I think he's going to, obviously just get better and better and better.
I mean, shit, bro. I think if Jordan stays on the path he's on, even if, let's say, God forbid, like this is Prime's last year and he transfers to Alabama or some shit, because I keep hearing fucking people talking shit like that's going to happen. I still think he's the number one pick in the draft, bro. Like, I was around Jake Long when he was the number one pick in Miami, and it's just there's something about those left tackles that can play 15 years. Hey, if you got a chance to get one of those guys, you get them.
Yeah, so no, you're right. Yeah, but Lewinberg and Naoli and Derek West, I mean, there are so many good players. We were just fortunate to play with a couple of probably the best that ever did it.
It really gives me a ton of respect for. I feel like we were the end of the McCartney experiment, because GB came in and Coach Bill was there all the time. He wasn't the coach, obviously, but GB obviously took a lot of what Bill did and then reinstituted it on top of RTD and so many other things. But if you think about like when I got done in 2004, bro, the 2005 season ended in travesty. We know this. And then after that, it was hard sailing for a lot of years. So I like to think that like from 86 to really 2004 was like the golden era of fucking Colorado football, bro. And we just happened to be there at a time where you were a great player. I feel like I was pretty good. We were surrounded by greatness and everybody fed off of each other. And it was a very special time. In no way, shape, or form, Colorado Nation, Prime Sexuals, am I trying to isolate either groups? I'm trying to bring us together to give the Prime Sexuals more of a history lesson on the guys that came before you. And also, like, there's a couple of guys on this list that are Coach Prime's guys. So we can't exclude them either. They're part of the family. So it's everybody can come together and you see just the overall greatness from top to bottom. We got the defense next week, and boy, oh boy, are there some fucking monsters on that side of the ball. Holy hell.
Yeah. You know what's important about what you said too, Chaz, is these what do you call them? Prime sexuals?
Prime sexuals.
Prime sexuals. I mean, it's great that they're all here and they're bleeding black and gold, but I think you and I are cut from the same cloth where, you don't know where you're going unless you know where it came from. And if if you don't respect it and you don't want to learn it, like I remember when I got here, I wanted to meet every guy that played at CU before me. And I'm not saying it's the CU kids. I think it's a different athlete these days than it was
that's true.
25 years ago. Because I wanted to learn the history. I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to meet every guy that took a snap at CU before I got there. Right. But I think that galvanized and made us appreciate what we had a hell of a lot more than the era that we're in right now of college football, of kids not really understanding where the program has been, where it's come from, who got it to certain places. Because then that just builds respect for what you're doing every day.
Amen to that, brother. And then on top of that, to elaborate on before we get you out of here, and thank you so much for coming on the show, Bob.
Yeah.
The standard, like I felt a debt when I got there to the day I left to make sure that guys that I didn't play with, like Matt Russell and Ryan Olson and Greg Jones and fucking Art Walker and Canavis and Big Al and all the defensive studs that I grew up watching and loving, that I could walk into the room and be their equal one day because of what I put on the field. And that, I'm not saying that's not happening in Boulder. I'm saying that back in the day where you went one place usually and stayed, and you transferred, so it's a little bit different for you, but I would say that your home is called Boulder, Colorado. That's for damn sure. Yeah. So when you have that kind of camaraderie and that standard that's set by the guys before you, which is what Shador and Travis and Prime have done now with the new CU, they've now set a standard that needs to be reached and overcome, because the standard is not 9 wins and losing in the Alamo Bowl. The standard is championships and go play in the playoff. That's what the standard in Boulder needs to be. So they've set the tone for this era after the tone had been set for our era long ago. So we just need to mash all this shit together, and I think it'll be really, really successful moving forward. So, yes, Bob, we love you, bro. We're going to post all this shit. I'll tag you on everything. We really appreciate you coming on the show. I can't fucking wait for football season, dog.
I know. It's almost here. It's almost
there.
So, you stay handsome, you son of a bitch, and I'll see you soon. Love you, bro.
All right, later, boys.
Peace.
Shout out to Bobby
Pesavento. Fuck, man. I mean, I always wonder, like, if Coach Barnett would have just ran with Bob in 2000 and 2001 the whole time, I think we'd be having a different conversation on this list, bro, because he was fucking manual. For about 7 games there, Pesavento was like, he's our God, he's our fucking guardian angel, dog. Without him, we don't win.
And that's a real conversation, Matt, definitely. And let's see. Buffs fans in the chat, let us know what are your thoughts on that. But Matt, great interview, great having Bobby Pesavento on to break down wide receivers, tight ends, and offensive line on our all-time CU list as we get closer to the season. Matt, we're almost there, almost to the season, and we'll be back here on 0 to 60 on Thursday, talking all things Colorado Buffaloes football news. Lots to talk about in the NFL world as well. We'll address that more later in the week. But Matt, great show here with Bobby Pesavento, and in closing thoughts before we get out of here.
Yeah, man, we're going to talk about the special teams on Thursday. We'll talk about the defense. We'll probably do let's do the D-line and the linebackers Thursday.
Okay. Let's do it.
And then we'll do the DBs and the safeties and like the athlete guys on Friday. Cool?
Deal. Let's do it.
Vickers is back with us on Friday. I don't know about Mason on Thursday. We'll see. If Mason can't do it, we'll try and get a defensive guy on, Chad Brown or Art Walker, or maybe we'll get Aiden Walker on and talk about his pops.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Art's on the team. And then just look, man, we appreciate all the support. We appreciate everybody watching. Please like and subscribe, obviously. And Bailey does a great job with these verticals. He's going to put out another one here from yesterday's. Yesterday's got a lot of traction. This one will as well. So please get involved. We'd love to get any and all, whether we're dumb or we're smart or you agree or you disagree. It's all good, baby. So that's kind of the point. So we appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for watching. B, we'll be back on Thursday with the rest of this news and shit, and a little high school spotlight as well as we shine a light on the Dungeon family. So
absolutely great show here on this fine Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday. Man, can't wait for the season. Can't wait for another massive season of Colorado Buffaloes football. We'll see you guys on Thursday, folks. Peace.
Peace. Go Buffs.